Sometimes the originals are the best. Let's take a look at Daijisho. So for Daijisho is probably one of the first front ends that was really popular for devices like the AYN Thor, and it's easy to see why. So in order to get Daijisho, you're just going to go to Obtainium, and you're going to go to your front end section, and you're going to grab Daijisho. Make sure it's installed, and then we'll boot it up. So we'll load it up, and then it's going to take a moment, and it's just going to throw us straight in at the deep end. No messing about. So firstly, if we come over to library, we're going to download some platforms. So this will basically allow you to download all the platforms for the folders that you have. Unfortunately, it is manual, but it shouldn't take too long just for you to nip through. So if I just grab a couple, we'll get Dreamcast, we'll get our 3DS, 64, DS, NES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. So it doesn't take too long, but it would be nice if it was automated based on scanning the folder that you actually had. And once you've done that, you just import. So it's going to download all the relevant emulators, links, and things like that. So it has given me a weird little error there, so we'll see what that is shortly. So this is unfortunately where Daijisho becomes quite manual. So it does look the part, but you do have to do a lot of fiddling about. So as you can see, we've got this little paths button here, so I'm going to tap that. It's going to ask me to add more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to go through and add my paths. So there's our 3DS one, and then if we synchronize that, you'll see that it'll be syncing those games there. Then if I go into library, it's pulled through my 4 games, and it's automatically started grabbing the artwork, which is handy that it does that for you, but it's a shame that we'll have to go through and manually assign each of these. So you can use your trigger just to skip through the platforms quickly, but I'm just going to have to go through each one and do it myself, which isn't ideal, especially compared to how it's handled in other front ends. So I've just done a couple to demonstrate. Daijisho isn't a front end that I use regularly, but for most people it's a great one to start with to familiarise yourself with how a front end works. So once you've imported your games, what you can do, if you hover over to this little pencil icon on the bottom right and you give that a tap, it will show you all its settings. So this is where you can change your emulator if you wish, although it is a little bit finicky because when you tap it, it tries to get you to enter the text manually. So if you want to use a RetroArch core, then you can select that from this list. This is what it's downloading at the beginning. You can also set your custom box art aspect ratios. Most of these should be set when it downloads the platform, but if you want to tinker, then you can have a play around with that yourself. So you can see for my Game Boy Color, I've got these nice square boxes, and then for the GameCube, I've got some long boxes, although they do seem to be of different sizes, which is kind of annoying, most likely due to where it's scraped the artwork from. So one thing you can do with Daijisho is if you press your right bumper or you go to widgets, we can add ourselves some widgets. So you can have an activity widget, so you can have a continue playing, you can have how many games you've played today, how many you viewed, you can have a retro achievements widget, so you can log into your retro achievements, which we'll do shortly. You can have a random game picker, so you can select that from favourites recently played, which is a nice little touch because a lot of random game pickers don't give you this level of control. We'll do the entire collection, we'll have a play around with that in a minute. So you can play around with this to your heart's content. You can pin a favourite game if you like. If you're a big Pokemon Coliseum fan, then you can pin that there and then you can just boot it straight up from here. Over in apps, we have just our normal app launcher. And now we'll just have a look through these settings. Obviously, we have our Android system settings. If we open that, we have our library, so we can sync our library from here. So if you add new games, I don't believe it does an automatic sync on startup. So you will have to come in here and make sure you've synced all your platforms. I advise disabling player warnings because sometimes if you play one game and you quit out, when you go to play another one, it'll say, whoa, 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 you've got this other one. And it'll just give you a little warning. So you can just disable those. You can always show the sync icon. I would advise updating the platforms automatically. For the most part, you shouldn't have to add any more players, but if you like to, you can import JSONs and things like that from here. So you can download the platform wallpapers pack, although I really like the ones it comes with, but this just customises these images here. But I really like these ones. I can't remember which pack this is. I think it's just standard Daijisho one, but very, very cool. You can set a dark theme or a light theme. I've never actually seen the light theme for Daijisho. Dark theme much looks better, in my opinion. You can enable a pure dark theme if you want the OLED. It doesn't really show up here because the dark is a very dark theme. You can force square game covers. You can set a wallpaper. All sorts of settings you can play around with here for appearance. Over in navigation, you can set up a search hotkey, which I think is quite cool. So if I do, say, select and right trigger, or just do right trigger. So all I need to do is I can set a hotkey that allows us to quickly get to that search, which I don't think a lot of front ends do allow you to customize hotkeys or things like that. So if anyone's watching from other front ends, take note, because this is cool. You can also customize which tabs appear along the top. So if you don't want your apps, you can hide them. If you prefer to use something like Yarn Grieper or another launcher on the bottom, you can set that up here as well. Although that appears to have broken navigation. So back in a second. So we also have our videos and sounds. You can toggle preview videos and things like that if you have them in your folders. I believe you have to download these separately. You can also change things like the sounds. You can log into your retro achievements from here, and that's pretty much it. So we'll just try booting a random game using the random game button, and there we are. So it's giving me Pokemon Gold, so let's boot it up. Straight into our retro arc. Nice and simple. So Daijisho, it's probably been overtaken in recent months by the development of other front ends because of the popularity of the AYN Thor. I can't imagine most people will stick with this one, but I'd say if you're brand new, it's a good one to get your head around. And it is completely free, and it is available from the Obtainium pack. So that is Daijisho. So if you like this video, then I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, have I missed a front end? Have I missed a feature that you really want me to cover? Please let me know in the comments below. I've got many more videos coming out about the AYN Thor in the coming months, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.